Hey guys, it's me, Rebecca, and I am the Bexa Boss Lady. Welcome back to my channel. I know I promised you all some eBay videos a long time ago, and since I started my patron group, I've had a lot of questions about eBay. My coaching clients are asking me about eBay, and so I think it's time for me to start doing some eBay videos. So this video is all about eBay. 10 things that I have learned over the past 15 years selling on eBay. It has changed quite a bit. It's stayed the same a lot. But there are things that I think people have misconceptions about or they don't understand. And so I'm going to take a similar approach as I did with my Poshmark videos and start with the basics and then kind of ramp up into some different stuff you can do as far as listing more and things like that. So if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you get notified of all my wonderful reselling content. Let's get started. So the first one is don't be afraid to get started. There's so many people that I see in posts or in groups or on Instagram and they're like, I'm afraid of eBay. There's no reason to be afraid of eBay. Yes, it's much more complicated than Poshmark, where you just point and list a couple of pictures. You just throw up a bunch of items. There's a lot more tabs. There's a lot more entry things. There's a lot more information that eBay wants from you. But you really don't need to give them all of that information to make sales. So don't be afraid to get started. Don't be afraid to open your account. You know, I wouldn't get out there and just start selling like $1,000 items. I would follow my 5x4 method, which I posted the other day. And then through that, make sure that you are listing things that you aren't spending a lot of money on, so that way you can get the hang of it, preferably listing things that are already in your house. So, you know, if something were to happen to the item or you were to get scammed, which seems to be what everyone's afraid of on eBay, you at least aren't out any money from buying inventory or anything like that. It gives you the opportunity, the belongings in your house that you want to get rid of give you an opportunity to try out eBay. And the biggest thing, number one, is just get started. Don't be afraid of it. It's a learning curve just like any other site. It just seems a little bit more robust yet vintage the way that their website is. They really haven't updated it a lot since I started selling a long time ago, but it does take a little bit of time just to get used to the weird intricacies and where the information is, and I can tell you it's a lot easier now than it was before. All right, number two. The same philosophies apply from Poshmark to Mercari to eBay. Taking really great pictures. You want your first picture to really pop in that news feed or in the whatever they call it whenever you search for items on eBay. And you want that first picture to pop, to stand out, to make someone stop and look at your listing. Now, eBay is a much different, it's a different selling site in the sense that it's not necessarily a visual app, but once people are looking for it and see it in the app, you know, that first picture still has a lasting impression. So you want to make sure that your listing is great. So your first picture is all said and done and ready to go, and then your listing title has all of the keywords in it in the description. If you have any issues with your eBay listing titles, you can look through my videos. I have some other videos about how to create listing titles, so that might give you an idea, but typically it's the brand, the sex of the item, the size, the color, and then a description of what it is. So it's pretty basic. There's a formula you can follow for all of them. If you really want to get an idea, look at what the solds, what items sold for the highest dollar amount in the different areas that, or if you search, you'll see at the top what the first listing result says. Those always give you some clues as to what eBay is favoring when you go to search those items. So having good pictures, having good descriptions, having good titles, those are all necessary things just like they are on any other selling site. Number three, do your research. So you found these items that you have in your house, right? You're not going to go spend any money to sell on eBay until you get everything ready. So you find these items in your house and you're going to do your research on them. You want to search for solds. And so you just do it by, I actually have eBay pulled up here, but you're just gonna search for anything. So I'm just gonna put little black dress, and on the left-hand column, there are gonna be all these like categories and different things that come up on the desktop. And if you scroll all the way down, it's going to say show only, and there's a bunch of options, and it says free returns, returns accepted, authorized seller, completed items, sold items, deals and saving, and authenticity verified. So you want to click on the sold items. It will automatically check the completed items. We don't care about completed items. You only want sold items. That's how you check appropriate comps on eBay, is checking the solds. So then you just scroll down and kind of look around to see what is at the top. The top is what has sold soonest. And then as you scroll down, it'll be different things. It'll give you an idea of like what it sold for, was there shipping, how many actually sold. Like if you just search black dress and search solds, there were 294,000 black dresses that sold. So that's why, you know, adding some keywords to your listings is really important, so people can search to find your items, because there are so many of them on eBay. All right, so do your research. Do your research on those items. See if there's similar items that have sold. Try to find, you know, those things that are going to be comparable. If there aren't a lot of things that have sold, or there aren't any that are the same as yours, try to find something comparable. If it is truly a unique, one-of-a-kind vintage item, you can price it basically however you want. You're not necessarily going to get that, but it gives you the flexibility to price how you want for your items. Number 4, pay attention to your shipping costs. I firmly believe, especially if you're selling clothes, shoes, accessories, that you can keep your shipping extremely simple. I have a video on shipping on eBay, but basically I ship almost every single thing in a padded flat rate envelope. If I don't ship it in a padded flat rate envelope, that means it's less than £1 and I'm shipping it first class mail. You got to get familiar with the bigger size boxes, the shoe boxes, the weights, kind of get an idea of that if you're going to be selling bigger items, because the last thing you want to do is get shorted on shipping if you are having buyers pay for your shipping. So you want to get an idea of how much things weigh, see what you think the shipping would be. If you want to do it and put calculated, you just weigh your item. Don't forget to include the packaging material. So if you're going to have tissue paper or peanuts or bubble wrap, anything like that, you want to make sure that all of that is factored into the weight of shipping your item. And then just put the weight in there and it'll calculate it based on their zip code. The only thing I will caution you about that is a lot of the times from the East Coast to the West Coast, for instance, I live in Virginia. If I send something to California, it's very expensive. Some men's shoes that I have had have been over $20 to ship. So I know that they will fit in a medium flat rate box or a large flat rate box. And if they're heavy, I choose to make that determination. But getting started, if you're just selling small items, or I always ship any shoes that will fit in a padded flat rate envelope. I've shipped thousands of them. I've never had an issue. So just get in the habit of making sure that you make it as easy as possible, because you can make shipping as hard as you want, or you can make it as easy as you want. So for me, making it super easy and fast. I want it to be fast. So easy and fast is how I like my shipping. And over the years, I've refined my process for that. And it's just something that you will need to play around with. And unfortunately, maybe learn a lesson or two, which I have numerous times, about shipping and, you know, making sure you weigh it properly and put the right price on there. But just the key is to simplify it and choose like 2 or 3 shipping options that you're going to use all the time and stick with those. Number 5. Understand that eBay has the final say, unfortunately, when it comes to returns, cases, complaints, defects, top rated status, discounts, all of these kind of things. people get so upset, and I will admit I get so upset too, because we are able as sellers to set our own policies on eBay. However, eBay has their own standard of what their expectations are for us as sellers. We don't have to follow that. For instance, we don't have to offer free returns. However, eBay does encourage it. So if you aren't going to play by their rules, they may or may not side with you when it comes to issues, but they are the ultimate decider. So it's very frustrating, but you have to know that ultimately it's their platform, and there may be decisions made that you don't agree with, but like anything, you have to take the pros with the cons, and that's just the way that the cookie crumbles on eBay, I guess. Okay, number 6. There will always be scammers on eBay. There will always be scammers on Poshmark. There are scammers everywhere. People are scammers. They will return the wrong item. They will file false item not as described claims to get the seller to pay for shipping back. It's just, that's how it's, they will do crappy things like that. And then it really puts a sour taste in your mouth when it comes to selling, especially on a certain platform. So if you've been scammed on Poshmark or Mercari or Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or wherever, once you've had the kind of bad taste in your mouth, you've had something like that happen to you, you're more apt to be thinking about it for all of your transactions. Which actually I think is good, because it really puts it on the front of your mind, and there are things you can do to protect yourself. For instance, don't take any transactions offline. If someone buys something on eBay but then is asking for, an invoice, and they want you to they want to send you a check and it's for more money than the item, and they want you to do all this stuff, just don't do that. Don't what was I gonna say? I don't know. Anyway, there's always going to be scammers. So just know that there are situations that can keep you safe. And the majority of the time, by following the policies and procedures set by eBay, like, staying on the app, shipping to the address that was given to you by the buyer, make sure you're not changing any addresses, because you're not protected if you don't do that. So there's just different things that are frustrating at times, but you're going to get that on any reselling app. It's just the way that the world works now, where scammers have lots of access to us and lots of ways to try to rip us off. Number 7, you do not have to offer same-day shipping, free returns, or returns at all. You don't have to offer that stuff. I've been selling on eBay for 15 years and I have never accepted returns. If I did, there was a restocking fee. Now they did away with that. There are no such things as restocking fees anymore, but they still allow sellers to decide whether or not they want to offer returns. Now I caution you, because even though your closet says, or your eBay store says that you don't accept returns, there are still ways that people can get around that, and it is extremely frustrating. I just had this happen. I sold a pair of Crown Vintage was the brand. I think they were sold at Macy's or Kohl's, somewhere cheap. Crown Vintage, Chloe was the name of the boot. So they were these boots, they had metal chains on them, and the shoe boot name was Chloe, and then I described it. So in the listing specifics, I had the brand in the drop down box, and then it said model of the shoe, and I put that in there, and then in the description I had it all in there. And the buyer filed a inauthentic claim saying that they were fake Chloe boots, the designer brand Chloe. Well, first of all, the buyer paid $18, including shipping, for these boots, because I could fit them in a padded flat rate envelope. So let's just say that should have been the first clue that they were not Chloe boots. The second thing is, even though I clearly outlined everything, eBay basically told me, since they filed an item not as described with inauthenticity as the reason, that they will not reverse, or they will not do anything with those claims. So basically, a buyer can tell you that you sent them counterfeit Payless shoes, and eBay will force you to do the return. Do I agree with that? No, I think it's completely wrong. Do I I mean, it goes into number 8, which is pick your battles on what you're going to fight with eBay. You know, I got really upset that morning. I raised my voice at the eBay representative, even though he had no control over it, but he was just kind of being annoying. He was like, I understand where you're coming from. I sell on eBay. And I'm like, well, then you know this is wrong. So I got all worked up about it, and it wasn't even worth it. They were $18 shoes, but I can just imagine if it was a larger purchase, I would really have a hard time with that. Or because the part of my issue is that then I am responsible for shipping the shoes back. So those boots just happened to be one that came in a thread up shoe box that I ordered. So I only paid like $3 or $4 for them. But it was the point that, you know, I would have to refund the buyer her original shipping, plus I'd have to pay to ship those boots back. Then I would have to pay to list the item again. So in the end, I just refunded her money and let her keep the boots, because there was no point in me spending more money on these $3 boots. I was just cut a loss, you know, the $3 plus whatever the shipping was, and call it a day. It wasn't worth getting really worked up and getting upset about. Now, sometimes with eBay, you can call back, you can talk to different reps, you can ask for supervisors, and occasionally you'll get someone who will do something for you, or they will change their mind or reverse their decision. But I'm finding that that's more rare as they move along in these new kind of ideals that they have of what buyers should be, or sellers should be doing. So, you know, especially pick your battles with customers. Are you really going to get in a fight with a eBay customer? And 90% of the time, the people that cause you problems, just like on all the other selling sites, are the people who ask a ton of questions, and there's the people who want discounts, or they want something really cheap. It never fails that those are the people that are going to give you problems. So just, is it worth arguing with that person, or getting in a fight with them, or getting your blood pressure up, or upsetting you to deal with these situations? You know, sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from it and then come back a little later or the next day and write your response. Because once you've cooled down from that initial, like, taking offense or becoming upset, whatever it is, it's just you're able to respond more intelligently, more rationally. And especially me, who is really quick to be like, oh my God, that's so wrong, I can't believe they did that, oh, I'm so upset. And I'm so quick to turn that fire on inside of me, and it takes a while to turn it back off. So I know that when I get stuff like that, I have to separate myself from that situation or that person or something, and go do something else, and then come back and deal with it. So just know when to pick your battles. Number 9, people always ask, what is better, auctions or buy it now? And I always say play around with them as you're adding listings. If it's something that you don't really care about, I always believe that auctions do bring lower priced auctions bring traffic to your store. And I know, because that's where eBay started, is with auctions, that they want people listing auctions on there as well. So if you have a mix of auctions or buy it now, that works out perfectly, especially if you upgrade into one of the stores. You get a certain amount of free listings of buy it now and of auctions. They make them separate. So just knowing that you have to play around with what will work for your store. There are people who run sales in their store and they get a lot of sales. Sometimes I run sales in my store and I get no sales. It's the same thing on Poshmark. So you have to play around with it. It's an ever evolving system. It's a constantly changing app and program that we're using. There's no perfect set rhyme or reason for what works and what doesn't. So you really just need to play around with it, practice doing different ones. And like I said before, you're going to get burned. We all get burned, even veteran resellers. Even I make mistakes on my listings, and it just is. So you have to know that there are risks you're taking. Make them calculated. Make sure that they're not going to ruin your business if you mess something up. But a few dollars here, a few dollars there, your business should be able to absorb that cost, and know that that's just the cost of doing business. And finally, as you're playing around with those listings, I firmly believe that, and I will tell you, the proof that I have of this. So for the past 31 days, my sales are up 30% on eBay, and I have been listing almost every single day. So I've been listing 10 or more things every single day. Now, from last year at this time, my sales are up 300%. So knowing that listing consistently, listing daily, or at least adding listings in draft and then saving them the following day, that will activate your store. It's not just something that, I guess I should add number 11, which is patience. Just know that you aren't just gonna post 10 things on eBay and 10 things are gonna sell. It's the same as any of the other selling sites. It's like a plant. You have to water it, you have to feed it, you've gotta trim it, you have to put it in sunlight, you have to give it shade. That all of these sites are different beasts of their own, that you have to learn the nuances, you have to learn the ins and outs, and there's no right or wrong way to do it except just to get started. So I would encourage you to just get started. Go back and do my 5x4 method, find some things in your house, research them, and list them on eBay. It will be doing the first few or getting that first month out of the way, you will feel so much better. And just by doing it and experiencing it, you will be gaining knowledge and education to be able to keep doing it and make more money and make more sales. So if you have any tips, you guys know I love your feedback. So if you have any eBay tips for people just getting started, post them in the comments below. If you think of anything else, let me know, or if let me know in the comments. I love reading them. I try to respond to as many as I can, but I don't always get to everybody. So thank you for watching, and again, if you like this video, thumbs up, and if you didn't, then thumbs down, I guess? I don't know. And don't forget to subscribe, obviously. But I will see you next time. Bye.